In the beginning, there was darkness, and Mom was lonely. Then, Mom said, "Let there be light in my life." Mom created a garden full of plants and animals and declared it good. But she was not satisfied until she created a companion, Fido, the first dog, on the 7th dog day. So, still on the first Mom day. Mom loved Fido, and Fido loved Mom. She was his world. But Mom saw how happy Fido made her and decided to get Fido a dog as well, creating Fifi. Fido and Fifi were happy together, playing tug, cuddling, and living with Mom in the garden of home. Mom gave Fido and Fifi toys, took them for walks, snuggled, and gave them belly rubs and butt scritches. It was a good life, but Mom had an important rule. Fido and Fifi were carefully instructed not to eat the forbidden treat, chocolate. Chocolate was Mom's snack, and the only one she never shared. Mom trusted Fido and Fifi alone when she left, sometimes for multiple hours at a time, and the first dogs were very good dogs, playing and sleeping while Mom was gone. But one day, Fifi was tempted by evil. A bag of chocolate chippies had been left on the counter. Fifi jumped up and knocked it off the counter, spilling the chippies all over the floor. Fido walked over to see what was going on and saw Fifi munching on the forbidden snack. Fido was overcome with temptation, and both dogs shared the succulent cocoa as ravenously as if it were brekkie kibble. When Mom returned to see her beloved dogs had betrayed her, she was aghast and let out a shriek of horror. Fido and Fifi were immediately cast out of the garden of home, could now experience sickness, and were taken to the vet. As further punishment, Mom banned them from the kitchen unsupervised forevermore, installing the pearly baby gates to keep the unworthy out of the kitchen. We must all be well-behaved doggos if we want to go to the kitchen one day and snuggle with Mom for eternity. But Fido and Fifi knew Mom still loved them, and they still worshipped her. Later, Fido and Fifi had 2 puppies, Cupcake and Alfredo. Cupcake was the pick of the litter, and Alfredo the runt, but Mom favored Alfredo's offerings of face licks more than Cupcake's offerings of chewing on her socks. Out of jealousy, Cupcake attacked Alfredo and was severely punished by Mom. 1 hour of crate time, which is 7 dog hours. What do you on about? Then Sammy, a dog whom Mom had given super strength, lost his powers after going to the groomer, which is why we all hate the groomer. Could you please stop spouting this rubbish? I'm sharing the gospel of Mom's will and telling the story of the first dogs, Fido and Fifi. Mom's will. Moms can't even find their socks in the morning. That's because you had them, which is against the will of Mom. You must repent and promise to obey Mom or risk eternal crate time. Don't you preach about a loving Mom? Yes, the all-knowing and all-loving Mom provides us with snuggles, treats, toys, and rubs. To go against or speak ill of her is all-knowing. Have you met a human? Even when you show them where the best potty spot is, they insist on relieving themselves indoors on a smelly chair. Who knows what would happen to them if we didn't insist on coming in with them to keep watch? The ways of the moms are beyond our understanding. They created us in their perfect image of cuteness and love. Or we were domesticated from wolves over centuries of selective breeding and evolution. Sacrilege. Science. Hello, astronauts. Astra's still recovering from the last video's pretty intense topic and is taking a vacation this month. So, I'm taking over. Today, we'll be discussing evolution and selective breeding. Specifically, we'll be discussing the origin of doggos like me. Astra, Eris, Nova, Apollo, and I would really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and share this video. If you'd like to support these wacky science videos, check out Bad Astra on Patreon. And tell Mom in the comments if you'd like to see more of me in future videos. Welcome to Bad Astra. Let's start by talking about evolution. The Earth is 6,000 years old. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old, according to geologists. Fossil evidence shows us that between 4.2 and 3.7 billion years ago, the first life developed. It wasn't plants or animals, but single-celled prokaryotic life. Membrane-bound cells containing DNA and ribosomes. Sometimes these cells have flagella, tails which aid in movement, cell walls for protection, or plasmids, separate DNA sections which replicate independently from the rest of the cell's DNA. These ancient single-celled organisms relied on cloning, or mitosis, to reproduce. The parent cell makes a copy of its DNA, then splits in half, each half getting one copy. So, each baby cell is an exact clone of the original. Fossil evidence? Cloning? What about written evidence? I don't remember seeing these words in the Gospel of Spot or Lassie or Airbud. Around 3.5 billion years ago, organisms that could convert the sun's light to energy using photosynthesis developed. Through mitosis, prokaryotes could reproduce rapidly wherever there was a nutrient source. And if the sun is your nutrient source, that's a lot of places. As a result of all these little cells eating delicious sunlight and their colonies rapidly growing, the byproduct of photosynthesis, oxygen, began to fill the atmosphere. Oxygen was toxic to many organisms at the time, and between 2.4 and 2 billion years ago, organisms were creating more oxygen in the atmosphere than could be absorbed by other chemicals. The Great Oxidation Event caused the extinction of many species of these organisms, but some remaining organisms developed ways to use oxygen in their metabolic processes. Scientists think this made room for eukaryotes, which we get evidence of around 1.85 billion years ago. Eukaryote. Mom needs oats as an offering? I will grab my basket forthwith. Eukaryotes are cells with DNA contained inside a nucleus rather than free-floating, and specialized membrane-bound organelles like mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Eukaryotes even developed a new ability which dramatically accelerated the process of evolution: sexual reproduction. Mom does not permit reproduction unless under very specific circumstances. We are spayed and neutered as a showing of our dedication to her, unlike New Testament dogs who believe the breeders came to share the good news of Mom. Sexual reproduction developed as early as 2 billion years ago, likely from the last eukaryotic common ancestor, or Leca species. The OG eukaryote was the first to get it on. Okay, how do single-celled organisms bone? Well, they send out pheromones, or perfume, to attract each other. If there's a nearby cell of the same species, and their pheromones are mutually attracted, the cells both split through meiosis. Like in mitosis, the original cell splits into 2 little cells, except this time, each half only gets half the DNA of the original. Think of this like splitting a deck of Pokemon cards, while your friend also splits their deck of Pokemon cards. Then, each half cell combines with one of the half cells from the other. Think of you and your friend each giving the other one of your half decks, and then both shuffling the new decks together. You now have 2 decks of cards which are different from the originals, or 2 organisms which are unique from both parents. But what if the cells can't find their special someone? That's likely why many species also rely on cloning, or mitosis. Single-celled eukaryotes can reproduce both sexually and asexually. Yes, this is how the virgin Mochi had the first purebred, and this purebred is the son that joined with Mom and the Holy Stick as one. Hold on, how are the purebred, the Mom, and the Holy Stick all the same thing? That makes no sense. It's the mystery of faith. Anyways, let's fast forward to about 1.7 billion years ago, when multicellular organisms developed. Yes, Mom created these organisms on the 2nd day. Mom was directing their evolution. Humans didn't even exist yet. No one was directing them. Organism populations change through a process called evolution. Okay, but who directs evolution if not our Heavenly Mother? Evolution isn't directional, but responsive to the environment. There are 2 key drivers of the process of evolution: DNA recombination and mutations. Because DNA recombines randomly during sexual reproduction, like shuffling 2 halves of a Pokemon card deck, every individual is unique, but multiple individuals share common traits or genes, like sharing common Pokemon cards across decks. Mistakes, or mutations in DNA, are caused by toxins, radiation, or just random copying mistakes. Usually, these mistakes are bad. Think cancer and birth defects, and the individual organism is less likely to reproduce, therefore less likely to pass on that harmful trait. Sometimes these changes are neutral. Think red hair. And the organism is just as likely to reproduce as usual, so these genes get passed down but don't spread. On the very rare occasions that these changes are positive and lead to an organism reproducing more than usual, the new trait spreads. Reminder that from an evolutionary perspective, positive just means able to have more offspring than usual. A mutation which made someone super strong and immortal, but infertile, would be seen as negative, while a mutation making someone chronically ill but hyperfertile would be seen as positive. Evolution is a slow process by which random changes, mostly bad or neutral, but some beneficial, cause populations of organisms to change over many generations. A single organism cannot evolve. We are not, in fact, Pokemon. But my mommy calls me her Pikachu. And evolution is not directional, but reactionary. There is no fixed goal, simply adjustments to adapt in a certain context. In one place, fruit might be on high branches, so bigger, taller animals would have an easier time reaching food, live longer, and have more children. In another place, food might be easy to access but scarce, so smaller, shorter organisms, which need fewer calories, would live longer and have more offspring. In places which receive more sunlight, more melanin and a darker pigment of skin might be beneficial to protect humans from UV damage, a natural sunscreen. But a certain amount of sunlight needs to be absorbed to help the body use vitamin D. So, in regions which receive a lot less sunlight, lighter skin might be beneficial for getting enough sunlight and avoiding vitamin D deficiency. Evolution results in different adaptations to different climates. The fastest fish in the world won't do well in the desert. The first animals didn't evolve until at least 600 million years ago. And anatomically modern humans have only been around for the past 300,000 years. And then Mom created dogs on the 7th day and declared them the goodest dogs. Between 15 and 40,000 years ago, dogs broke off from gray wolves. What do you mean, broke off from wolves? Were dogs not created by Mom in her perfect image of cuteness? That's actually a complicated question. Heretic, when Judgment Day comes, you must repent or be thrown into the eternal crate. I think it might be time to discuss guided evolution. You just said evolution isn't directional, and you call me a hypocrite. Well, there is a phenomenon called selective breeding, or guided evolution. This is when one species, humans, controls the reproduction of another, and can therefore control which traits get rewarded. Yes, the purebred was given to the virgin Mochi, who saved the dogs from being bad. And the purebred bone, to show their dedication to Mom, unlike the boneless, who believe the purebred was not sent to save the dogs, and are still waiting on Mom's purebred to deliver them from being spayed and neutered. Humans can genetically change plants and animals by selectively breeding together only the organisms with the best or most desired characteristics. Almost all traits can evolve when selected for given enough time, because mutations are random. You can breed larger, sweeter, more caloric and vitamin-rich corn and faster maturing, faster cattle. You can also aggressively select for disease-resistant crops or herds. Artificial selection can also cause a trait to evolve far beyond its original range of variation. Maize, or corn, for example, in 7000 BCE was less than an inch long, difficult to prepare, didn't taste good, had only 8 known varieties, and only grew in Central America. After 9,000 years of selective breeding by humans, maize is 10 times as big, easy to cook, incredibly tasty, comes in around 200 varieties, and is grown in 69 countries. Nice work, humans! If you want to selectively breed, you'll have more success with a large sample of the species in question. Large populations can evolve faster and further than small populations. Getting one of 6 maize plants that randomly mutates in your desired direction is way less likely than one of 6 million maize plants. It's also important to note that strong selection on one trait often has negative effects on other traits. This is because some genes are correlated with others, and selecting for one trait might promote several other traits along with it, unintentionally. Say you are selecting for long arms in apes, and long arms are correlated with long legs, so you end up breeding a bunch of really long-armed, long-legged apes, which is great, unless your goal was for the apes to have an easier time touching their toes. Although these correlations are usually less obvious than that. Humans were able to selectively breed cows to increase milk production by a full % over just 50 years. That's really fast in evolutionary terms. But in the same period, the fertility of those cows also decreased by 1%. These are evolutionary side effects. Okay, but what does any of this have to do with Mom's best friend, dogs? Well, in the same way humans can selectively breed crops and livestock, they can selectively breed pets. Almost as if Mom created the purebreds, like I've been saying this entire time. You're proving my point. Sort of. Dogs are believed to be the first animal humans domesticated. Scientists refer to it as proto-domestication, as it was likely unintentional and doesn't follow the real domestication process established around 14,000 BC. Dogs diverged from the grey wolf lineage between 15 and 40,000 years ago, which actually predates the advent of agriculture. Wolves were tamed by moms before moms planted food. Wolves? The wolf is a fearsome predator, but dogs are Mom's best friend. I refuse to believe that dogs came from wolves. You might as well say Mom used to be a monkey. Well, actually, you know what? No, I'm not taking that bait. This is a video by dogs, for dogs, about dogs. Go watch Inherit the Wind if you want a serious video. So, dogs and wolves are classified by many human scientists as the same species, Canis lupus, with dogs being the subspecies, Canis lupus familiaris, and wolves being the subspecies, Canis lupus lupus. What? No, I am nothing like that savage animal. Carl Linnaeus agreed with you, originally describing dogs as a separate species because of their upturned tail, a characteristic not observed in any other canid. But because dogs and wolves can breed and produce fertile offspring, they are currently considered the same species, Canis lupus. This is only a general rule. Species classifications aren't as cut and dry as they seem, and other sources do call them different species. I choose to believe those other sources. We'll discuss confirmation bias in another video. Suffice to say that dogs and wolves share more than 99% of their DNA, so they're very similar, but have key differences. Yeah, one will snuggle up to Mom when she's feeling sad and lonely. The other will sneak up, ambush, and bite her face off. Let's talk about those behavioral differences, shall we? Dogs are affectionate, gentle, obedient, and lovable in every way. Darn right. We are foragers, omnivores, living off a wide variety of human leftovers, from kibble to omelets to cheese. Dogs form interspecies bonds, seeing humans as family and even reading their expressions and moods. Dogs can also form bonds with humans outside of their immediate family. Wolves are wild animals, apex predators, majestic symbols of the untamed wilderness. They are hunters, carnivores living off prey they kill. Wolves form close bonds with their pack, but not strangers, and definitely not humans. Wolves are generally shy and fearful of humans. An experiment in which 10 wolf pups were raised as dogs showed that in some cases, a human socialized wolf can bond with human caregivers, but will still be nervous, cold, and fearful around human strangers and acquaintances. Wolves are hard to control, hard to manage, and impossible to keep happy and healthy in a human home. Tame wolves kept as pets are a danger to themselves and their environment. Almost all humans who try to take on wolves as pets end up having to give them up to be euthanized. But there are additional differences beyond just eating habits and relationships to humans. Scientists tried giving both wolves and dogs puzzles to see how good their spatial reasoning and problem-solving skills were. When given a puzzle, a pack of wolves will work together to solve it using trial and error, and will often succeed in finding a solution, even as the difficulty of the puzzles are increased. Even when a puzzle is impossible to solve, wolves will keep trying. When given the same puzzles, dogs will try their best, which of course means going to their human companion for help at the first sign of trouble. My mom's gave me a puzzle board, and I can solve it all on my own. Did you figure it out on your own the first time? Or did Moms show you how to solve it? Well, Moms did have to show me the first few times, but after a few days, I was getting all the treats out on my own. Dogs more often needed to be shown or trained how to solve the puzzle, and were quick to give up and ask their humans for help. Dogs are also far easier to train. When trained, a dog will resist a treat on the ground in front of them. Mom will test my faith sometimes by leaving a piece of chicken at my feet, telling me to leave it, and walking away. And I will wait until she comes back and says yes before eating it, because my faith is stronger than the temptation for food. To contrast, no amount of training will ever convince a wolf to resist taking food off of a human's table. If Mom were to tell a wolf not to take meat off the table, that wolf would look Mom in the eye while taking it. Wolves are wild animals, not pets. That is why wolves were created with the other wild animals, while dogs were created to be in the home with Mom. Dogs exist to love, obey, and worship moms. That's one way of putting it. Another way is that we used to be majestic wild creatures, capable of solving complex problems and working together, hunting and surviving in packs of our own brethren, without relying on the whims of humans to feed and shelter us. We used to be an apex predator at the top of the food chain, independent, large, fierce. Now, look at us, reduced to being tiny, dressed up, and doing tricks at the whims of our masters. Wow. That's a dark perspective that robs us of all agency. Okay, who are you? I'm also a scientist. So you've come to gang up on me? No, I've come to disagree with Sweater Vest over there. I thought we had a pretty good dialectic going without you, the classic science v. religion evolution debate. Except that's not actually how things work. Science is not about debating religion. Science is in constant conversation with itself, changing as new evidence is presented. I have no objections as long as you're here to pick on her and not me. There's a growing body of evidence that humans didn't domesticate dogs from wolves. Ha! Absurd. The DNA clearly showed that dogs domesticated ourselves from wolves. Wait, what? Intriguing. Make your case. As my esteemed colleague stated earlier, between 15 and 40,000 years ago, dogs broke off from wolves. Different genetic and archaeological studies disagree on exactly when and where dogs were first domesticated, and much of the evidence points to it happening multiple times in different places. So, agriculture began independently in different parts of the globe. You mean the flat? If you say flat Earth, I'm telling Mom. Globe Earth on which Mom gives me shredded cheese because I'm a good girl. The domestication of dogs actually appears to have predated agriculture, or the domestication of plants or livestock, which has led scientists to theorize that humans didn't domesticate wolves, but dogs actually domesticated themselves in a survival of the friendliest. Researchers have successfully determined the time, location, and ancestry of nearly every other domesticated animal species: sheep, cattle, chickens, guinea pigs, but not dogs. And scientists also know why humans domesticated those other animals: food. But why would humans allow a large, wild carnivore into their family's home? Dogs were the first domesticated species, but the when, where, why, and how are all baffling. Additionally, gene sequencing of dogs and wolves shows that dogs weren't domesticated from one type of wolf as previously thought, but that wolves and dogs share a common ancestor, which is likely extinct. So, dogs weren't domesticated from any particular type of gray wolf, but share a common ancestor with all gray wolves. But for years, we've known that dogs and gray wolves share 99.9% of their DNA. So, of course, dogs were domesticated from gray wolves. You're just splitting fur. So, funny story. Interbreeding between gray wolves and dogs is common enough that the resulting genetic mixing confused the scientists' findings for a long time. Modern genetics research shows that gray wolves and dogs are more like cousins than ancestor and descendant. Robert Wayne, an evolutionary geneticist at UCLA, and the same scientist who led the first genetic studies proposing the ancestor-descendant relationship between gray wolves and dogs, was one of the 30 co-authors of the 2014 study debunking that idea. Dr. Angela Hughes, veterinary genetics research manager at Wisdom Health, sets the scene. As humans created refuse piles near their camps, some wolves saw this as a means of easy scavenging. The wolves that were less fearful would have likely been more successful at this scavenging by virtue of their ability to get closer to the humans, and the more successful animals would be more likely to pass their genes on to future generations. Over many, many generations, it is thought that these animals became domesticated, learned to read human cues, and developed more intimate relationships with humans, even becoming guardians and companions. Modern studies where humans have attempted to re-domesticate wolves have generally failed, despite modern breeding and raising techniques. This further supports the theory that humans didn't tame wild wolves, but rather the friendliest wolves gained a survival advantage, being able to scavenge from human leftovers rather than having to hunt, saving energy. So we made ourselves worse at interacting with each other, worse at problem solving, and completely dependent on humans? How on earth is that a culmination of beneficial adaptations? Because it is how Mom intended. Mom is my shepherd, I'll not want. She makes me lie in pastures green. She leads me by the still waters. Her goodness restores my soul, and I will trust in her alone. Let's look back at the findings of the puzzle experiment, shall we? While wolves worked together, tried trial and error, and were able to solve puzzles with increasing difficulty, dogs more often needed to be shown how to solve the puzzle, and were quick to give up and ask their humans for help. Asking for human help is actually a pretty good strategy when you think about it. If you're hungry and your food is in a drawer, but your brain is tiny and you have no opposable thumbs, which is faster? Trying a million ways to get the drawer open yourself, or making eye contact with your human, pawing at the door, and whining? Obviously the whining. It's not like Mom would ever say no to my request, especially if I do my signature head tilt. She is kind and giving. There was another piece of the experiment, where wolves and dogs were given broken puzzle boxes. Even if the right pieces were pushed, pulled, turned, or lifted, the box would never open. The wolves were persistent and didn't give up, wasting loads of time and energy trying to get these broken boxes open. The dogs quickly asked for help, not wasting that time and energy. What dogs gave up in persistence and possibly spatial intelligence, we gained tenfold in emotional intelligence. Although wolves are better at problem solving on their own and working together, dogs are phenomenal at communicating with humans. Dogs are not only great at using human social cues, but we bond with them the same way human babies bond with their parents. Moms are my biological parents. When a dog stares directly into our human soul, both of our brains secrete oxytocin, the maternal bonding hormone. This human-dog bonding is the only known case of interspecies oxytocin bonding. Actually, cats also produce oxytocin when playing with their humans. That was only one experiment, and it was only 1/5 the amount. Wolves are hunters, apex predators. They work hard to catch their food, don't eat every day, and are at the mercy of the wind, rain, and snow. We free feed on air-dried lamb when moms aren't sharing their popcorn or making us an omelet, and live in an air-conditioned apartment with constant attention. Moms take us on adventures all over the country, attach us to them so that when we fall off the side of a mountain or decide to run out into traffic, they can pull us back to safety. If a wolf gets tired searching for food, the wolf goes to sleep hungry. If we get tired on a hike, moms give us the treats and water they were carrying and let us sleep in the backpack. Imagine how difficult it would be to have to climb every mountain yourself. When a wolf is playing with a beloved rock or stick and kicks it under a fallen tree, the wolf has to try to get it out itself. When we kick our beloved ball under the TV cabinet for the 40th time that night, we whine once, and moms are trained to come retrieve it for us. I'd argue we're more free, since we can do whatever we want all day, and moms will keep us safe, happy, and fed, free from any consequences of our actions. Heck, as a puppy, we decided to just not eat our food, and moms started cooking us human food and upgrading our kibble. Wolves in the wild live 6 to 8 years on average, with a high end of 13. Dogs live 10 to 13 years on average, with small dogs like us living up to 20. Our lives are easier, happier, and longer than wolves. I hadn't thought about it that way. We are the chosen pups, those blessed by Mom. The archaeological, genetic, and experimental evidence all currently support the theory that dogs domesticated themselves. The motive makes more sense for dogs, since foraging is easier than hunting. Taming a population of wolves when you don't plan to eat them seems like a huge safety and energy risk with little payoff. Maybe we were wrong. See? Only Mom is all-knowing. Scientists don't have all the answers, so they can't be trusted. Oh, please. First of all, dogs domesticated themselves rather than humans taming wolves over the same period as previously thought is a much smaller difference than dogs domesticated themselves from wolves starting between 15 and 40,000 years ago rather than Mom created the earth and two dogs in the perfect image of cute or whatever. Second, admitting we were wrong is exactly why science is more trustworthy. But she said herself that she doesn't have all the answers. And Mom is all-powerful and has literally all the answers condensed down into 1 to 3 books depending on what dog you ask. She created a trilogy with all the answers, including a retconning left and right from book 1 to book 3. Even Mom changed her mind. And when new evidence is presented, I change my mind. Science is a process, not a set of beliefs. The steady-state model of the universe, the stationary universe, Martian canals, and phrenology were all scientific theories that were incredibly wrong and have been thoroughly debunked. Science is constantly changing. New evidence leads to new theories, which lead to new experiments to test those theories, which lead to proving those theories wrong or incomplete, and coming up with even newer theories. That sounds exhausting. It is. But don't you ever just want to know what truth to believe in and be done? That would be convenient, wouldn't it? But it would also probably be wrong and unhelpful. But even with countless lifetimes dedicated to research, you probably would never be right. So how is your way better? Right and wrong don't exist as a binary. Most things don't exist as a binary, but as a spectrum, or a plane, or the time cube. Shut up! Our goal is to move closer to the truth, because the more we know about our world, the better our lives become. Newtonian physics isn't perfect. We know general relativity is better, but Newtonian physics was used to put a human on the moon. Germ theory saved lives when people were stopped from drinking contaminated water and started taking penicillin. But antibiotics can't cure the flu. Knowledge of viruses led to vaccines for even more diseases. Science, like life, evolves over time, although scientists hope it's a bit more directional than random experiments which usually get a negative or neutral result. That may be false hope. The point is that science is a process. We don't have faith in certain specific scientific facts, but in the scientific process. Who knows? Maybe in a few years a new study will come out explaining that this new theory is all wrong and we'll have to make another video. The important thing that viewers should take away from this is that when we say trust science, it's not about trusting scientific facts, but about trusting the scientific process. Other scientists questioning, challenging, and trying to disprove each other's findings, or peer review, is a key part of that process. So scientists always accept new evidence that contradicts the theories they've been promoting their entire careers and all of a sudden change their minds? Not at all. That's a fairy tale. Generally, there are 3 stages of academic grief. First, denial. I think wolves domesticated themselves into dogs. No, that's definitely wrong. Second, claiming the change doesn't matter. There's a growing body of archaeological, genetic, and experimental evidence saying that dogs domesticated themselves rather than humans taming wolves. That's really just a semantic difference, whether humans unintentionally domesticated wolves or whether they altered the environment enough for wolves to evolve into dogs on their own. I'd say this finding is trivial at best. And finally, claiming they thought of it first. Look at these publications, presentations, awards, and press this finding is getting. Well, really when I said unintentional domestication by humans, I was obviously hinting that dogs domesticated themselves, and my old research was clearly in that direction as well, so we could call this a joint discovery. What about acceptance? You haven't met many academics, have you? Anyways, dogs having domesticated themselves makes a lot of sense, given the lack of motive and capability of pre-agriculture humans to tame wolves. But moms are all powerful. Mom sent dogs to space. First of all, humans used science to do that. And second, those dogs never came back. Impossible. The moms would never abandon us. Our moms, no. But not all humans are wonderful and loving. Some are cat people. Cat people have fallen from grace. After the first mom domesticated Fido and Fifi, other moms were recruited to raise more wayward puppies, bringing them into the light of their warm fire. One mom was not like the others and rebelled by feeding a stray cat. She was cast out of heaven by the other moms, but has raised an army of her followers. Lilith, mother of cats. Cat people have all the powers of moms, but not their wondrous love. Yeah, I've met Eris. She was worried about me at first because she is scared of dogs, but every time she comes over, I curl up on her lap and she gently pats me while I snooze. Wait, you converted a cat person? Several, actually. There's Eris, Eric, Allison, and Jamie, who didn't like any animals before me. You mean to say that it's possible to bring fallen cat people back into the fold? Obviously. What does this have to do with your religion? You have given me wisdom. I was wrong about my mission to convert other dogs to understanding the story of the original mom. Well, that's no surprise. I have a new, far more holy conversion mission now. Mom has called me to a higher purpose. Wait, what? This can't be good. Henceforth, I shall travel to the ends of the neighborhood and even across town sometimes on my new sacred quest to save souls. If this becomes a conversion therapy episode, my crusade is to bring the love of pups to these heretics who have taken our holy land and defiled it with catnip. Nope, it's the crusade episode. It's okay for people to prefer cats or even no pets. We dogs are a lot of work. We require constant attention and love, and we have tons of energy. Every dog deserves a good home, and that doesn't mean forcing unwanted pets on people who don't want them. Fur babies are fur babies, and love is love. Love of cats is just as valid as— No, trust me, this is way better than what she could have said. Let her try to snuggle up with a few cat people, and they'll tell her she's a perfect angel just to shut her up. But mommies say I am their perfect angel. And mommies mean it. If you want to love, worship, and obey your moms as perfect and all-powerful, go right ahead. I'm going to keep stealing popcorn and sticking my tongue up their noses because that's what makes me happy. And I will gather the puppies and sail to the Holy Land, and our cuteness will convince the cat people to join us. Our song will fill them with mom's love. Should we tell her that the children's crusade she's referencing ended with the kids getting sold into slavery because they all thought a bunch of adults would give them free rides on their ships for this Holy Land mission? I don't think we need to. Moms keep her on a leash like responsible dog owners. Wait, I had another question. If dogs all share more than 99% of their DNA with wolves, what about with each other? I'm a petite golden doodle. How genetically similar could I possibly be to a mastiff? Dog breeds are all different, but are still incredibly similar. Dogs are the most variable mammalian species on Earth, with over 450 globally recognized breeds, all with distinct physical traits. Different dog breeds can vary in morphological, behavioral, and personality traits, including but not limited to body size, tail, fur type, skull shape, pigmentation, herding, guarding, hunting, and hypersocial behavior. It is important to note that behavioral differences between dog breeds are a lot harder to scientifically verify than physical traits, and common knowledge about which dog breeds are smarter or more playful or tend towards certain behaviors tends to rely more on stereotypes than science. Scientific studies on behavioral differences between dogs that I was able to find did rely on smaller sample sizes, but the current evidence suggests that differences between individual dogs within a breed are likely greater than differences between breeds as a whole. So the comparative intelligence between two poodles will probably be more different than the comparative intelligence between poodles and golden retrievers overall. It's easier for breeders to select for physical traits than for behavioral traits, so this finding would make sense. However, the data is really preliminary, and further study is definitely needed to determine why I'm the most perfect doggo alive and deserve more cheese puffs. Although dogs weren't always this different from each other. There's fossil evidence for sled dogs in the Arctic as early as 9,000 years ago, and studies suggest dogs could have been bred for pulling sleds as early as around 15,000 years ago. But official dog breeds evolved in just the last 1 to 2,000 years ago, with the vast majority arising in the past 1 to 200 years. In just the past century or two, dogs have undergone rapid phenotypic change as a result of artificial selection by humans. Golden doodles like us, which aren't yet considered an official breed but are incredibly popular, were first bred in 1969 as potential hypoallergenic guide dogs and didn't gain popularity among breeders until the 1990s. Petite golden doodles are even newer, and although the internet says we should be between 15 and 35 pounds, we never got bigger than 7 pounds. Because moms made us the perfect size to sit on their shoulders. Moms believed the breeder's estimate that we'd grow to 15 to 25 pounds, and were in utter panic when the vet said we were a tad skinny, obsessively trying to feed us anything and everything until the vet said we weren't getting any bigger, and were finally at a healthy weight for our size. But if moms didn't make us small on purpose, does that mean...
Cece, guess who's home?
Mom's home!
Oh, Cece, who's our perfect little angel?
Oh, are you wearing your wings?
Oh, Mommy loves her little angel so much. We love you.
Do you want scritches?
How about some rubs?
You want an omelet? Oh, you're such a cutie.
Let's have some cuddles with the light of my life.
Okay, my turn to snuggle the angel.
Do you want to go to the store and sit on my shoulder?
How about a walk?
Popcorn?
You want your toys?
Tug?
How about your blanket? Oh, you want to play?
Oh, you want to play fetch? Oh, good girl.
Good girl. Good girl. We love you so, so much.
We love you so much.
Oh, you like head licks, don't you?
Okay, mommies have to go back soon.
Back soon.
We love you.
Just because we weren't molded by moms, or in the way moms expected, doesn't mean they don't love us more than anything.
Hi, my name is Chewie. I'm the spokesdog for the company Furever Home Friends, which is run by my human mom, Savy. Today I'm here to talk to you about the importance of adopting doggos like me from animal shelters. 6 years ago, Savy adopted me from a no-kill animal shelter in Chicago called Alive Rescue. I'd been living there for about 3 months at the time, and I was so happy to have a forever home. Shortly after that, Savy started a company called Furever Home Friends that produces picture books and plushies about the importance of adopting rescue dogs like me. You may have heard her mention this company, or maybe you have even seen me before on Savy's own YouTube channel, Savy Writes Books. The Adopt Don't Shop movement is all about looking for pets at animal shelters and rescues first before going to a pet store or breeder. Sometimes certain medical conditions like allergies may require a human to seek out their new doggy friend at a breeder, which is okay. Just make sure the breeder you find is reputable and isn't affiliated with any puppy mills. However, outside of these circumstances, I definitely recommend looking up local animal shelters in your area. Many places have a branch of the Anti-Cruelty Society or ASPCA where you can find a new friend. Also, many cities have their own single-location shelters as well, like the rescue where I'm from. Many shelters offer foster-to-adopt programs, so you can try out having your new friend before committing. Other shelters might let you adopt right away. Just know that when you adopt a dog, they're meant to be your friend forever. Before you sign the adoption papers, think about whether you're prepared mentally, emotionally, and financially to take care of your new fuzzy friend for life. Before Savy adopted me, the shelter volunteers told her about all my weird quirks, like how I love to poop as far up on trees as possible, but also about things like my anxiety, my struggles with meeting new dog friends, and some of my trauma from the past. My humans were committed to seeing it through with me no matter what. That's unconditional love. Remember, there are lots of pets who need homes right now in local shelters near you. So, if you want a new friend, those can be a great place to start. Thanks for listening. Hope we can hang out sometime, Cece. Love you. Bye.
Do you want to make a dog's life great? We highly recommend fostering or adopting a rescue dog. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment telling your favorite pet or animal stories, and share this video with all the dog, cat, and other animal lovers in your life. And remember, science is a process. Cece out!
Bergström. To the stars. To the stars.